Hey RJ, how you doing today?
I am doing well, my friend. How about you?
Doing great. I'm not in the fire bowl as you guys are out there in California, so hopefully you're doing okay and you're safe out there. But appreciate you joining today. Again, this is we've been on a series, and it's going to be 6 or 7 part series, but today should be the final part. We're going to talk about why your e-commerce projects go over budget, and the final one now is ongoing support, maintenance, and potential strategies for growth. So, RJ, why don't you go ahead and I'm going to throw out a couple stats here, and part of the reason why this is so important. So, a lot of launching a new e-commerce site, right, is marketing, visibility, and competition. I mean, those are three of the big things. 37% of all new e-commerce startups fail due to poor online marketing, right? So I know a lot of clients you're working with, especially your B2B ones, they've been in business doing brick and mortar for a long time, and they're
Yep.
coming to you going, hey, we need to move online now. That's where the future of our business is going. Can you help us get online? So for them, it's a new online business and they haven't been marketing online. And so 37%, more than a third, fail because they don't know how to do marketing. So marketing is a big one. And that's one of the things I specialize in. Second one is lack of visibility, right? This is not a you build it and they will come, field of dreams, right? You mentioned before, it's not like the catcher, gets out there with a new mitt, sits down and there's no pitcher on the mound. It's like, what's going on? Visitors aren't hitting the site. So 35% starve because of lack of visibility. And then 23% due to competition. So with me, I know my business has changed dramatically in the last 2 years due to AI. And now the way we do marketing and the way we market for competition using AI is so much better than it's ever been. So there's really no reason for you to starve due to competition or even lack of visibility based on what AI can now give us. So if that's the case, give me a call, schedule a demo. I'd love to get on and talk with you about how to get visible, get in the game. You're a new NBA team. You're the LA Clippers. You went 1-15. You're in your season, your first time out, but you're an NBA team, and within a few years they started winning championships. Right? They figured it out. They got into a groove, and you can do the same with your site. So I'm going to kick it over to you, RJ, and kind of kick us off. Introduction. So remember in the last one, we executed and we pushed the first ecom into production theoretically, and we implemented our first build. So now what?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we see a lot, and I think it goes to your what you're talking about here, Ron, is it's launching the site is not the finish line. Launching the site is just, now you're open for business. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is, right? It's a restaurant where you turn the lights on and now there's a staff, maybe a skeleton staff, but there's a staff there, but there's nobody coming in, there's nobody placing orders. So unless you can, you know, understand and be ready for the next phase of your journey, it's going to be tough. And that phase, so it sort of depends, I think, a little bit depending on which sort of component of your business potentially is leading first. Is this B2B led or is this B2C led? The strategies are slightly different.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients are B2B first. They do have a B2C or direct consumer sort of aspiration as a future state, which is pretty, much easier to do once you have all the inventory in one spot and all the pricing and all those sort of things, all the data in one spot. You can turn that on easier, but usually that's a later stage. But we always work on getting ready for sort of the rollout. How do you roll it out to maybe your existing clients and sort of take a measured approach? And surely the goal is to drive revenue, but probably equally, if not more important, is to get critical feedback early on, because there's going to be things that a client sees that really you're not going to see because they're using it differently. It's like never just assume that you know exactly what they need, because they know what they need, and you'll see it if you're doing tracking on your site. It could be just using something as simple as Google Analytics. It could be doing some heat mapping to see where people are going, or where are they dropping out, or where are they struggling. Are they spending an inordinate amount of time on this one part and then leaving? Okay, there's a problem there. So it's getting that sort of, and it, from a B2B side, we always advocate for rolling this out to a limited number of existing clients that you have really good relationships with, and just say, hey, look, we're rolling out a new site. We know it's not going to be perfect. It should be way better and easier for you, but just let us know what we can do to improve it. And then you get that, you get those items identified, you develop and modify the site to address that, and then you sort of roll it out to be generally available, or GA is what that's called, like get it out there. So that is really, really important. And it's also important for you as a, project owner or manager to have that expectation set internally with your executive team to say, look, I know the site's going live, but our expectation is we're going to get feedback and we're going to optimize it. Then we're going to then we're going to push down on the accelerator. Don't expect it to, don't expect the scoreboard to light up overnight. It's going to take some time and effort. So
Right.
we always coach our clients to sort of be prepared for that, and sort of have that strategy, because, to your point, like, just because you build it doesn't mean anybody's coming. Now, you can help them to, especially if it's B2B, because you already have that connection. But, B2C, you've got to really pivot over and start thinking about, demand gen and marketing and those sort of things. So I don't know, I'm curious to see, Ron, how you sort of assist the clientele that Clarity has in making this transition to live and growth.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that kind of moves us on to our next point, which is adoption, right? So now we've built it. Now, for me, adoption is both internal and external, right? Because you've talked about it in previous webinars that you and I have done, where you talk about the internal mind shift of the staff changing the way they think and the way they do business in preparation for some of these projects. And I really like that. And that's, for me, what adoption is too, right? Because we completely change the way we do business online than we do in brick and mortar. It's very different. A lot of it's automated. You don't want to build something that requires the 10,000 people that come to the site, every single one of them, to make a phone call, to turn around and call and go, why does this work? Or why isn't this work? Or I'm trying to do this and it's not working. Because then you just created yourself a nightmare and kind of defeated the purpose of going online, which is supposed to be better reach, better self-service, right? If you're not getting better reach, i.e. digital marketing, the SEO, better service, the CRO, the conversion rate optimization, then you're failing. I love to give the example. You and I are throwing a block party, and you and I divvy up the responsibilities. You're in charge of marketing and getting the word out to the block party. And let's say there's 1,000 people in our neighborhood, and I'm responsible for the planning committee, right? And I have to plan the party. You go out and get 900 of the 1,000 people to show up for the party. I got sick and failed, and I got one pizza and a 6-pack, and 900 people showed up. Bad CRO, great SEO, it fails, right? Conversely, I'm from the LA area, and I get Oingo Boingo to come in and do it because they're friends of mine, right? So Oingo Boingo's there, and I got a buddy who owns a tavern that brings out 3 kegs and 100 pizzas, and you got 3 people. Failure in SEO, great CRO, right? There has to be a balance. And I always talk about, and that's part of the adoption, right? If you bring 1,000 people to the site, is the site ready to support and handle those 1,000 people, right? So for me, adoption really is, what is the platform and how is the long-term sustainability of that platform modeled? Is it fully self-service? Okay, great. Then the CRO, when we go live, the conversion rate, the FAQs, the checkout, the streamline, the intuitiveness, the live chat, all that stuff has to be in place and has to be very intuitive, so that I think there was a Google study that was done recently that said, if a person comes to your site and they don't find what they're looking for within the first X seconds or minutes or whatever, 77% of those visitors will leave and never come back to your site. So part of adoption is ensuring that the experience and everything is planned. That's part of the CRO, the conversion rate, right? Once RJ comes to the site, I want him to find what he's looking for very quickly and make it easy to check out, and then make it even easier to reorder and market to him and keep chasing him now as a customer that I've already found that's already had a good experience with me, right? So a lot of that's part of the adoption. So there are a whole bunch of different ways to get people to the site. SEO is a big one. What are some of the other ways that you help drive clients to the site, RJ?
Yeah, I want to maybe add one piece to what you just said, because it's super timely for me, right? Like I went, this is a true story. Yesterday, I went to buy some parts for my car, and there were tires, and they're kind of unique size. So I just couldn't find them anywhere. So I went and went to a site, put in make, model, year, all that sort of stuff. The tires I wanted came up. I'm like, oh great, put them in the shopping cart. Went ahead and purchased the tires, went through all the stuff. Then I had to go through a verification process where I had to like use an app to verify my identity, and I went through all this stuff and finalized the order. And then I get an email that says, oh, we don't carry those tires, so we refunded your money. And I was like, and because we build websites and we do integrations, and I'm like, real-time inventory, like that sort of piece, like they had a customer, they had a buyer.
Yeah.
I went through an exhaustive process to make a purchase I wanted to make, and now you're telling me you never had the product to begin with because you didn't have real-time inventory on your site. So not only did you not get that sale from me, now you've got somebody who had a bad customer experience. I'm not going to buy from you. And if it comes up in conversation with somebody, I'm gonna say, hey, steer clear of them. I don't know that you can really trust what they have, right? It's
Right.
like there's a gap right there that's pretty easy to understand. And like to your point, the best client to have is the best, most likely new sale is from an existing client. So if you don't make that first sale a good experience, not only are you losing that one out, you're losing out on the lifetime value of what that customer can do. Or, are they going to give you a positive review, all that sort of stuff. So that was so timely to me because I literally went through that last night and this morning. And it's just like, you've got to make sure all those big pieces are put together. So, when it comes to the marketing side, in this day and age, to your point, when you say visibility, I kind of think of like findability, and a lot of that is around content marketing and SEO. How is when somebody goes to a search engine or even when they go in and now search is sort of making some of a pivot to AI. When they say, hey, I'm looking for this thing, how are they able to find you? And as somebody who's now has a digital business, you need to make that as easy as possible. So going in and making sure your site is optimized with all of your meta tags and all of your having all your content out there, being consistent with it. Go ahead and establishing brand authority in the way that the search engines are going to want to recognize so they can rank you higher, all those things. And to be consistent, it takes effort and intention to do that. So there's that part of it. There's obviously, you can do the other side of that too, which is more of the advertising side and going into different areas, whether you're going and doing it on social media or different components of that. I'm certain, I know that that stuff backwards and forwards, Ron. So I'd be really interested to see kind of how do you sort of prioritize that with your clients if they go, okay, well, I can only do a couple of these things, which are most important.
Yeah. Well, the way I talk about it, the way I introduce the topic to my clients is I talk about the zombie apocalypse, right? And I mentioned you don't have to be the fastest person. You just can't be the slowest, right? Because then you get caught, you get eaten, you get turned into a zombie. So how do you do that? Well, that's where AI has really changed the game for marketers like myself, because now we can use AI to analyze the competition, see exactly what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, identify those gaps. Now, there's probably, and I don't know what the number is, 100, 200. There's many, many different things that we can do when it comes to SEO. If we did perfect SEO, right? I mean, I could spend $1 million on a client and we could do 100 different things very easily. But we may not need to, because remember the zombie apocalypse. If RJ is only doing 4 and he's my main competitor and another competitor is doing 6, then really I'm going to do 9. I'm going to do 3 more than that competitor. So when I stream past them and all of a sudden RJ and that other competitor go, wait a minute, how come Ron's beating us competitively? And they start figuring out what I'm doing. I've already done the 9 and I'm working on items 10, 11, and 12, 10, on the next few, while you guys are playing catch up, trying to get to the 9 to catch up. And then I just have to maintain my space. So I'm always doing a little bit of work. And that's why I tell clients, they're like, well, how much do I have to spend? I says, depends what you want to accomplish, right? Catch up, there may be a lot of work to do because you were talking about the SEO and the content, right? There might be images, there might be meta tags, there might be FAQ schemas, there might be unique. One of the things, especially with e-commerce, that people get stuck on is, I'm a reseller of whatever, makeup something, Gorilla Glue, right? I'm a reseller. So when I get my spreadsheet of all the products and all the information about the dimensional weights and all that kind of stuff from Gorilla, and I import all those products in, 90% of the time, Gorilla does not include the product description, because the product description then, when it gets imported to all those sites, ends up being duplicated. And then those sites can be penalized. So what they do is they leave the product description blank, and that's what gives each reseller the opportunity to then market that item uniquely online, is the description. Well, most short descriptions allow like 55 characters, so you can't do much. So now all of a sudden, long descriptions, additional tabs, videos and demos and white papers, there's all kinds of different opportunities we have to market that product so that we can rank well. I know I did a 6-month project for one of my clients. They've got 8,700 chemicals, and they are a chemical manufacturing plant. And the way their chemists modeled what was acceptable to market that product had literally 25 words on the page, and we couldn't touch it. That was it. So they came to me and said, we're not doing any marketing online except for, like you said, our B2B, where we already have that connection. What do we do? And I said, well, we put more content online, but we don't disrupt the experience that the chemist wants, but we extend the experience that both the Google, the search engines, and the users attending. So what we did was, on the product tabs, we added an FAQ tab. And then after I did all the AI research, let's take acetic acid, and I might even pop up a screenshot here and show you. So if I show you the acetic acid page, you can see here, there's maybe a total of 25 words on the page. And the most words is the disclaimer you can see right here, and it's identical on every page. So that's not even unique content. That's on all 8,700 pages. However, I went in and did all the keyword research for acetic acid, and you can see here when I click on the FAQ tab, now all of a sudden, here's all these FAQs. And as I scroll down, even the most important part is, what are the other synonyms of acetic acid? And you can see as I scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, I have nearly 2,000 words now. So I went from 20 unique words on this page to over 2,000 words on this page, and it's hidden in an FAQ tab, but Google reads the whole page. So it's not disrupting what the chemists say the page has to look like: clean, concise, nothing there, but the information is there for Google. And within the first 6 months, I'd only accomplished this for about 1,200 of their products. And just those 1,200 increased their online visitation by over 5 times. And we quadrupled their online sales in just the first 6 months, with only doing 1,200 of 8,700 products. So e-commerce marketing and product marketing is very different, just because of the way content is different for products, right? So that's a real big one. Let's move on to kind of the big part. What we were talking about in today's is the ongoing support, training, and maintenance of the plan. So walk us through what you guys do. You know, it's live. Who's doing the support? Who's doing the maintenance? Who's take care of the site going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, oftentimes it's sort of a train the trainer approach, right? Like, we do this as a living, and the client doesn't, a lot of times. So for us, it's helping them understand what they need to do so they can start to take on more and more of this, and they know that they have sort of a resource or a safety net behind them, but they need to be the first line of defense. So it's things like working with them around, how are they doing, customer service? How is customer service engaged with someone that is having a problem? It could be around, maybe it's returns and RMAs, and how is that process working, and how are you not only selling but supporting the product online and making those channels available? And you've got a team that's paying attention to that. And some of this is managing and adjusting internal workflows to adapt to the new systems that are there and ready, so that everything works smoothly and there isn't a big missing piece that is preventing the customer from getting answers or getting resolution or getting advice, for that matter. There's certainly a number of systems out there, whether it's systems that are powering from either just a functional perspective, things like chat or stuff like that, or even you can have services that actually sort of take some of that over and work as a sort of first line of defense, and then there's an escalation point to someone internally. So a lot of that is just making sure that those pieces are all connected, and we're working with the client to help train them so that they can really run and operate. It could be, how are they adding, how do you add a new SKU, how do you manage promotions? How do you change pricing? How do you do a lot of stuff in the system so that we can sort of like learning how to ride a bike, we can run alongside of them for a period of time while they're, swerving a little bit and making sure their feet are working with their hands. And then pretty soon they're doing it on their own. But if they ever, hit a bump and fall, we can help pick them up and keep them going. So I know that
Right.
that's maybe not specific in the details, but it's more having a partner like Clarity or like Friends of Commerce that has that level of understanding of support, and not only just the pure, there's a lot of companies out there that just do the pure tech and they're like, hey, here it is. You really need a holistic sort of team that can
Right.
do this, because just to your point we've talked about and belabored, just because it's up and live doesn't mean it's going to work. So
Right.
that to me I think is the biggest sentiment, and it's going to vary quite a bit depending upon whether it's B2C, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's a distributor. On the B2B side, are they rolling it out to existing customer base? Is it all net new? Like there's a lot of nuance there that's going to dictate what the prioritization is. But I think the main thing is just be prepared, right? Be prepared. And the last thing I'd say is, and I think a lot of companies don't think of it this way, is there's and I forget what the statistic is, but it's pretty significant that the internal turnover at a company is pretty significant if people aren't learning new things or new skills. So
Right.
actually helping to train your team and learning something new and giving them a new skill is going to make the job much more interesting. It's going to be much more engaging. You're going to have a higher level of retention. So it not only is helping your external interactions with customers and clients, but your internal team is going to thrive in this way if they're supported well also.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and internally too, it's a lot easier to retain employees if they're happy and the project that they were a part of is succeeding versus
Correct.
failing miserably, and the writing's on the wall that they know the site's going to go down in the next year and they might be out of a job. I mean, you already in the writing's on the wall at that point, right? So that's one of the things that when I teach AI and I teach, we offer free fine-tuned and trained LLMs to help get clients. The hardest part about getting into AI for my clients is they don't know where to start. For them, it's
Yeah.
truly eating an elephant, right? Elephants dumped in the room and they look at it with just huge eyes and just go, I don't even know where to start. No idea how long this is going to take. No idea how many people it's going to, no plan whatsoever. And so we've actually automated the ability to fine tune and train an LLM model specifically to your business, and then implement that so that you can realize that. You mentioned a second ago about support on the site. Well, one of the things that we're doing quite a bit now is we're doing live AI chatbots,
Yep.
right? So clients can be on the site and they can go in there and go, hey, I can't find this product. And then it says, why don't you try over here, right? And it's intelligent enough and it knows how to answer things and it knows your business. And so using AI is really good, right? AI enhanced search, AI enhanced chatbots are two really, really good ways to implement AI. I mean, obviously for me, AI first on the marketing, the SEO, and the CRO content, right? I'm using AI for the competitive analysis to make sure that I can show up and rank for Google #1. So I use AI up front when I gen all the content. And then you can use AI for the ongoing support and maintenance in three basic ways. You've got your AI chatbot for customer service. You've got your AI that can be ingrained in your search engine results to help people find what they're looking for, recommend accessories if they're looking for a camera. By the way, did you think about other lenses and batteries and warranty and all the other upsell opportunities that you're always trying to think about? And the third one I'm trying to remember. Oh, analyzing all of your data as it comes back out. One of the things that we're really good about now that we haven't been for 15 years is collecting data, right? Everybody's been talking about business intelligence for the last 15 years. The hardest part was gathering the data. Well, now everybody's gathering the data. That's pretty straightforward. But other than your basic sales reports, using AI to look at trends, which of my B2B customers' sales year over year, month over month, week over week has dropped more than 6%? Which of my products are trending up? Which of my products are trending down? All those little finite things that can go through and analyze all that data and bubble things up very quickly for you. AI is really good at. So using AI to help bring that into the model is really what's going to change. I always talk about, people say, well, how do you succeed? And I always say D&D, and I don't mean Dungeons and Dragons. It's differentiation and disruption. How can you differentiate and disrupt your industry or your market compared to your competitors? If you can figure that out, you got a winning strategy. And so that's a big part for me. Maintenance support, everybody's thinking like, take that feedback loop, get the information back, plan a budget so that we know once a quarter we're engaging with RJ over at Friends of Commerce, and we're prioritizing our list of enhancements and updates to the site and things we want to do to help grow, and what's our growth strategy, and how much of our profitability are we going to reinvest back into R&D and keeping the site maintained. And it's the old Richard Timmons, I can't remember, Tim Robbins. Anyway, I can't remember his name. The old guy that talked about CANI, C-A-N-I, continuous and never-ending improvement, right? Don't end up like Blockbuster, where you finally get out technologied, continuously improve, continuously innovate, reinvent back in your site, get that feed loop coming back in so that it's not you just coming up with ideas and throwing ideas out there and potentially wasting money on things that aren't needed. But that feedback loop that RJ talked about is bringing real world scenarios where users are saying, hey, I was trying to do this. Simple things like having AI go in and show me all of the products or things that were searched for on our search engine that nobody found results. Things like that would be a great way to go back in and train AI to say, oh, well, if they look for that and didn't find it, I've got 3 other products over here that are very similar. Well, you can go in and train AI now to show those similar products. And that's part of what the enhanced AI search can do. So RJ, you want to tie us off?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many important components to what we just went through. I think, just the other part is figure out, have an idea, where the lowest hanging fruit is when you roll out your site, so that you can get some traction, because it's easier to continue to invest when you start to see some things going right, and then you sort of feed in on itself a little bit. And those are things that the Clarity team and the Friends of Commerce team can certainly help with. But I think this having the critical takeaway here is, just because your site's live doesn't mean that's the finish line. That's really the starting line, right? Now, getting all this stuff done is like all the training you're doing getting ready, but now the true journey has really begun, and making sure that you're beginning that journey with a solid partner, with a set of realistic goals, and that you're doing so anticipating what you're going to need to do, and being proactive versus reactive. Just that is going to put you in the best position to take the information you have access to now, make adjustments, and apply it to continually grow and succeed, and be that someone that's ahead of the curve, to not be the last person in the mob that's trying to get away from the zombie apocalypse, so that you're more towards the front of that group, if not leading the group.
Right.
So I think that's the key thing. But picking and working with a good partner that is customer first, that understands the business, that understands the technologies that's available, and understands your organization in a way that they can make strategic recommendations that are applicable and manageable for you, is really the most important decision you can make. And both the Clarity team and the Friends of Commerce team are great for that. We work a lot together on projects. So I think, investing the time to have those conversations up front is really going to be what pays dividends.
Yeah. So great. This was a great series, RJ. Thanks. And it's always fun recording with you. Look forward to the next series. Thanks everyone for paying attention and sticking with us through the series. If you have any questions or you'd like a free complimentary consultation, please reach out to either RJ or myself, and we'd love to meet with you. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.